Greetings and salutations, this is Brian from Mechbladestudios. Well, the time has finally come. The final chapter in the Godzilla anime trilogy, Godzilla the Planet Eater, has been released internationally. Does it provide a satisfying conclusion? Does Godzilla actually fight something this time? Let's take a look. Like last time, I'll have to talk about the events of the last film leading to this one, so spoilers for Planet of the Monsters and City on the Edge of Battle, but I'll let you know when I get into spoilers for this film, which I'll shorten to Eater for clarity's sake. When we last left our less hot-blooded than before protagonist Haruo, he, his out-of-nowhere squeeze Yuko, and the Billo Saludo came really close to killing Godzilla Earth, but the Big G's meltdown technique forced the Billo Saludo to try to assimilate Haruo and Yuko into their vulture mechs. Haruo, not wanting to become a monster to slay a monster, destroys Mechagodzilla's city and mourns his lifeless girlfriend of 20 minutes. This is all recapped in, well, a recap at the beginning of Eater with totally not ominous narration from Mechbladestudios. Mechbladestudios and the other X-Eve have a way of killing Godzilla by summoning their god, which requires some extra belief from the landing crew and the inhabitants of the Aratrum. Yeah, apparently it's pronounced Aratrum, not Aratrum. Mechbladestudios says the survivor's immunity to nanometal was a miracle granted by God, gathering up more believers, but he needs Haruo's cooperation to fully summon him. This god turns out to be none other than Godzilla's nemesis, King Ghidorah. A very weird looking interpretation of King Ghidorah. At least he's actually here and awake to fight Godzilla. The only other aspect of the film I can really go over before I go into spoilers is the soundtrack. Having rewatched all three films in a row, I can say that even with some electronic and rock elements thrown in, the soundtracks still sound like a Godzilla soundtrack despite not having the classic themes. This makes perfect sense since the composer, Takayuki Hattori, did the score for Godzilla vs. Space Godzilla and Godzilla 2000 before working on this trilogy. I say that because here, where everything is more spiritual, the electronic and rock elements are missing, leaving a purely orchestral score, and a really good one at that. Zai's Live and Die is alright, a little too low-key for a final theme, but it's not bad. It actually fits the more spiritual feel of the movie. And this is where we get into spoilers. I'm giving you a time code and a timer for a change, so there aren't any more awkward sections of dead air. Godzilla the Planet Eater is easily the best of the Godzilla anime trilogy, though it still isn't perfect. Its themes are rather heavy, taking cues from the best parts of City, ruminating on humanity's nature. It's also the most visually interesting, with more happening than just swarming mechs and Godzilla blowing them up, and more colors than just gray forests and metal or red and yellow flames. The ending in particular will make you think, but maybe not necessarily for the right reasons. Alright, time's up, let's go. In general, a lot of the events of this film are foregone conclusions. We knew Mechbladestudios was up to something as early as his talk with Galagu in Planet. Then with how Planet focused on human forces and City focused on Billo Saludo technology and its horrors, the process of elimination and the immediate release of this poster meant that the X-Eve are responsible for King Ghidorah. The X-Eve are actually a nihilistic death cult that traveled to different worlds, have everyone pray to Ghidorah, and have Ghidorah destroy the planet, a fate they allowed to happen to their own world. The X-Eve did this because they gained the ability to see through time and saw that everything will eventually end. They figured, why should civilization suffer a slow, agonizing death when it can just end quickly and peacefully? Not quite sure how this is peaceful, but whatever. Ghidorah feeds on hatred, and Mechbladestudios believes Haruo's pure, raw hatred for Godzilla can be used to completely summon Ghidorah into this universe and destroy Godzilla and Earth with it. What he forgot was that Haruo says the obvious. They want Godzilla gone so they can live better lives, not just kill everything to kill Godzilla. Mechbladestudios' argument even brings up the classic Godzilla theme that humans and the other Aratrum races are the real monsters, inevitably destroying their civilizations. This talk takes place in a Gematron vision that Haruo experiences, providing some trippy imagery such as modified flashbacks, Ghosts of the Fallen, and the Hiroshima bombing. While all this is happening, Godzilla is actually fighting King Ghidorah. It's not that much of a fight at first because Ghidorah doesn't follow this universe's laws of physics, as the film takes 10 whole minutes to explain instrumentality style, and Godzilla can't land a hit on Ghidorah, but Ghidorah can bite and lift Godzilla friggin' Earth. By the way, King Ghidorah? No, the heads and necks of King Ghidorah dwarf Godzilla Earth. At least this time I understand why the whole monster isn't depicted. It probably turned into Grimhild Gretchen levels of absurdity. He also has a ton of eyes and takes the gravity beam part of his character a lot more literally than other versions, appearing through a series of black holes. In the midst of Haruo's vision, Mina and Martin somehow mentally summon Mothra of all things, allowing him to break from the vision. Yes, the twins are this continuity's fairies that follow Mothra around in other stories. I thought Mothra was going to be involved with Hotua somehow, but I didn't think they'd go this far. Because Haruo overcoming Mechbladestudios means he can gouge out Mechbladestudios' eye coin controlling Ghidorah, Godzilla is able to hit Ghidorah, who tries and fails to run away like he always does, and the Big G is victorious at the end. right? Not exactly. We get a time skip where the humans put down their weapons and live in a primitive manner with the Hotua. Martin reveals that he can use the nanometal from Yuko's body to start up a vulture that survived the events of City and use it to rebuild advanced civilization when Haru gets a vision from the now dead Metphis that Ghidorah will return if civilization reached a point where it can destroy itself again. Haru grabs Yuko, hops in the vulture, charges at Godzilla, and gets blown up. The end. I don't know what I expected. I have a few issues with this. One, who's to say that this new society won't find a way to advance themselves without nanometal and the vulture? Two, aren't there a few unaccounted for sources in nanometal that can easily be used anyway? This puddle and this forge weren't ever directly connected to Mechagodzilla City. Haru killing himself, while I personally think it's screwed up because he was going to be a father, yeah, might have abandoned him earlier in the film, or as they put it, and seemed to be at peace with himself and seemed to begin to ignore Godzilla, I guess I understand. He's the last person that apparently still hates Godzilla, and is this hatred that got so many of his friends and allies killed, except the nanometal also killed some of his friends, but still. So he figured that if he dies, nobody else will die by Godzilla's hand, or atomic breath as it were. The film is about civilization as a whole and argues that civilization will always find a way to destroy itself. The moral, though, is that even though the probability of this happening is high, that doesn't mean civilization shouldn't exist. Otherwise, the film falls into the same technology bad, nature good moral that so many other stories try to push. Haru has come a long way from screaming and charging at Godzilla blindly. After 2 catastrophic operations and several deaths of allies and loved ones, he was not in a good place. He was at the point where he wanted nothing to do with Godzilla and just stop people from dying. He also has a very strong moral code carrying over from his decision to destroy Mechagodzilla City, that his mission isn't so much to destroy Godzilla, but to have humanity live on. In a way, Haru's suicide at the end echoes that of Serizawa at the end of the original 1954 Godzilla, destroying a weapon that could fall into the wrong hands. This sort of gets damaged by the ending's issues that I brought up earlier though. He really did turn out to be a deconstruction of the hot-blooded protagonist in that such behavior will inevitably lead to the deaths of those around him. And he recognized that. The side effect of the film having a stronger focus on the X-Eve is that Metphis ends up becoming the villain. I've already gone over his and the rest of the X-Eve worldview, but the fascinating part is that he still does value Haru as a friend to an extent, and vice versa. You'd think Metphis would start actively torturing Miyano to get Haru to cooperate, but he doesn't. He tries to win him over with logic and arguments, in a forced vision, but still. He's also an example showing that religious zealotry is kinda creepy. He sees absolutely nothing wrong with Ghidorah destroying worlds. He sees it as saving people from suffering. All in a peaceful, serene, ASMR caliber voice.
Haru, even you have wished for this end, deep down inside of your heart.
Apparently, I made a mistake in my review of City. This professor guy called Adam is named Martin, and this random soldier is called Adam. My apologies for this error, it's hard to tell them apart when they have their helmets on. These two are just plot devices. Martin serves to dump exposition, and Adam does whatever the plot wants him to do, whether it be shoot at Godzilla, marvel at Mechagodzilla, run away from Mechagodzilla, or become a Ghidorahzilla and die. Last but not least, Godzilla. The film seems to highlight how Godzilla is less of a wrathful being that everyone sees him as, but as a force of nature and a territorial animal. If nobody attacks him, he just minds his own business. That's how the Hotua managed to survive. It's amusing that one of his weapons is literally the Adobe Premiere distortion tool put over his roar. It's nice that he gets to fight another monster. Overall, I give Godzilla the Planet Eater an 8 out of 10. It's the best of the trilogy because of his great visuals, heavy themes, neat references, good voice acting, and overall satisfying conclusion. It's held back by some logical issues in the same ending, lackluster supporting cast, choppy frame rate, though it is improved again, and oblique info dumping. Before I average the whole trilogy though, I want to do something I haven't done before. I'm rescoring a film. I'm bumping City on the Edge of Battle up to a 7 out of 10. It still has pacing problems, lacking characters and a dull atmosphere, but the themes and morals toward the end regarding nanometal was very well done, to the point where it's the biggest highlight of the film. So with Planet of the Monsters getting a 6, City on the Edge of Battle getting a 7, and Planet Eater getting an 8, the Godzilla anime trilogy as a whole gets a 7 out of 10. It is not a perfect series, mostly suffering in the side character, pacing, and frame rate departments, but it managed to show off very neat visuals, creative world building, and the careful evolution of his lead, Haruo Sakiki. Best of all, it also gave us the largest Godzilla ever. I'd absolutely give them a watch if you have 4.5 hours to kill, especially if you're a Godzilla fan. All eyes now are on Godzilla King of the Monsters here in the States, and this World of Godzilla universe Toho's working on. So that's it for me for now. What do you guys think? Did you see The Planet Eater? Which of the 3 films did you like the most? Let me know in the comments. If you enjoyed this review, leave a like and subscribe for more reviews of anime, video games, and movies. Also hit that bell icon so you know exactly when a new video goes up. Thanks for watching. This is Brian from Mechbladestudios, signing off.